Hello, Audio Marks, coming to you from the Sage and Public Library. Welcome to the Marks for Life podcast with your hosts, Jimmy, CJ, Joe, and Jared. The undisputed era of podcasting for casuals turned Marks wrestling fans to give you a direct line to all things in the squared circle. Enter the ring at your own risk. We pull no punches, we hit hard, and we will slam you with all the info you need to know. So, ladies and gentlemen, are you ready? Break open that champagne glass and enjoy a little bit of the bubbly.
And welcome to this week's edition of Marks for Life podcast. This week is going to be another mini-cast. Unfortunately, we just couldn't find the time to get all together. But I do have news. There's several newsy-worthy things to talk about. One of them is the official signing of John Morison back into the WWE. Jared cannot be any happier about that. I personally can't be happy about that, and I can't exclaim for CJ and Joe, but I can certainly say that they are excited to see Johnny Mundo, Johnny Impact, possibly Johnny Full Sail? I mean, I don't know what show he would go to, but I feel like if there's going to be a Wednesday Night War, the best place to put it would probably be NXT. There's no other way to describe it. And speaking of other returns, we have the return of Sheamus in an old look. It's kind of weird. I actually dug the Mohawk look with the Viking beard, but now he's back to the Fu Manchu and the kind of like real blowout from his initial run in WWE. When he looked like Beaker, it's quite something. But you know what? I'm glad that he's back. I'm glad that we'll see how much longer he's got, because he has. There's been talks of like the spinal stenosis thing that he has still. It's kind of similar to what Edge and what Stone Cold had, but we'll see where that leads. Hopefully good things. I've always liked Sheamus, and Sheamus has always been like a pretty solid person to be in feuds with, and I'm very happy about that. I'm just trying to get to. I guess we could talk about this. This one's not too good, I guess, after probably one of... I mean, I'm sorry, guys. I know I'm floundering right now, but, man, I keep laughing about this. It is about Lana, Bobby Lashley, and Rusev and their storyline. And, by God, I have to say, man, this one's real. It's really bad. But Lana has actually gotten death threats in the past couple of days over this exact storylines, and it's really bad. She says, and I quote with an interview with comicbook.com, "Today I opened my email account and had this death threat in my email, and you can go and see it on my Instagram story, but it was just names that people call me just appalling." I mean, this isn't the first time. Bobby Lashley's also gotten some death threats about it. Really vulgar stuff. Like, I understand that, like, it's bad. Like, the storyline is bad, and don't get me wrong on that, but I feel like it is completely not justifiable to put hate mail and put vulgar things into the, put it out there to attack this woman and to attack this man. Like, there's no reason for that. Trust me. In kayfabe, I don't like Lana. The real person, CJ Parker, on the other hand, she's a real person. Her and the real life Bobby Lashley, they are real people, and they don't deserve to be, besmirched and, talked down to. They're people, and they deserve their own lives, and I think posting death threats about them is really, really bad. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I think it's quite horrendous about this. Let's talk about some other lighter news, though. Lighter news. Yes, the snitch. Enzo apparently on an interview snitched out half the roster, at least, for smoking pot during WrestleMania weekend, the last time he was working there. Nonchalantly. This isn't like the first time, and Enzo's a shit stirrer. He just likes to stir shit, and I not a particular fan of stuff like that. I get Enzo's trying to get back into it. I don't think that this is the right way to do it. And like I get that there's people who are going to be for Enzo on this, but like I don't think you're going to garnish too much respect back to either go back to WWE or go to any other company for that matter just by saying that. In regards to like the thing itself, it's not that big of a deal. I don't know why he needed to snitch people out on that. I get that WWE has a very strict wellness policy that, was put into place to protect people from, using illicit, drugs and going too forward in alcohol consumption, to protect their well-being and health. I get that, but I feel like they can lighten up on pot. Currently in our country and currently around the world, it's not viewed as a serious drug anymore. And I'm not saying it has detriments to health, but it doesn't have detriments to an extent that, like, being drunk is. Like, I feel like if you're going to be doing pot, they wouldn't be doing it, like, hours before a big show. It's the same thing with drinking. They wouldn't be doing that. Unless you're Alicia Fox on that one. But, sorry, Alicia. That was a bad joke on my part. My bad. I've always loved and appreciate you, Alicia Fox. You were a great, great wrestler in my heart. Loved you. Love you. But yeah, Enzo's a big old snitch. This is on the tails of his interviews as he's been going on in the past couple of weeks. A couple of weeks ago, he was on Chris Van Vliet's podcast, and he called out Tamatongo, and I don't know what's going on too. I think he also called out Joey Janela again. He could try calling out Joey Janela. Joey Janela doesn't care enough to do anything about it, and even if he did, I don't think he would. But Tamatonga is another story. He will literally beat the shit out of you, Enzo. I'm sorry. He will. And the last thing I want to talk about is AEW. And it's kind of something interesting that went on, which kind of coincides with something that may be going on going into 2019, which I would like to discuss further with the Marks later on. But this is a good little rumor, let's really think about more about AEW and where they're going. So in this past episode, there was a program on AEW that Chris Jericho was in, known as the Lexicon of La Champion, which was great. It's A+, just amazing. And it's a list of people he will not face no longer in AEW for the rest of 2019. And he went on with a list, the running gag being Jon Moxley was on that list, but Kenny Omega, the Bucks, Cody because he can't be in there, Kenny Ortega, Kenny G, just a whole bunch of random names, and then sprinkle them with Jon Moxley. But right before Jurassic Express came in and stopped him, he stopped at a name and he didn't finish it, and he said Marty. And I can't speak for the other Marks, but that one really kind of clicked in my head when I heard it, and it made me think about another person that was supposed to be with AEW that was on the Elite, Marty Scurll. His contract's coming up soon. And I believe the last rumors that we heard anything about his work with Ring of Honor is that it was over by the end of November. It's early December. AEW's last show of the year is going to be December 18th, which, will coincide with our big show, the Marquis, coming in probably around the 20th, 21st, depending on when we record it and drop it. And it's interesting because if Marty Scurll comes to AEW, that will complete foremost the Elite, but also it would bring in another dimension that we didn't really think. Marty Scurll is arguably one of the best talents that Ring of Honor has cultivated in the past year or so, and it's been, and I would say a lot of his stuff that he's been doing with Villain Enterprises, seceding from Bullet Club on his own, and kind of building this miniature rep for himself. And I think Marty Scurll is going to be in AEW. I really do believe that. And I think that was a little Easter egg Chris Jericho said on his promo that he did. So I'm excited. I can't wait to see what's going to happen on the 18th, or next week for that matter. And that's the end of the show. It's a quick 10-minute cast. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please rate, review, subscribe, and donate to our Patreon at Marks for Life Podcast, wherever you get your podcast from, and we'll see you next week. Bye!
Thank you, everyone, for staying tuned to our podcast. Special shout out to the Sage and Public Library for the continued use of their equipment and space. Hosted by CJ, Jimmy, Joe, and Jared. Produced and edited by Jimmy. Continue supporting us by rating and subscribing through Audioboom, Stitcher, TuneIn, Castbox, Deezer, Radio Public, Radio.com, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts at Marks for Life Podcast. And now, check out our YouTube channel, Marks for Life Podcast, for our podcast playlist and other content. Please follow us on our social media on Twitter at Marks for Life Pod, Instagram, Tumblr, Reddit, and Facebook at Marks for Life Podcast. Email us at marksforlifepodcast@gmail.com for any questions, comments, or feedback. Until next time, Audio Marks.